And welcome back. It's on the analyst desk and JDXL. Listen, chat, I'm on to you. I know the memes you're putting up, and you guys deserve. So JDXL versus Singularity. Let's put this on the table. It's a hard game for Singularity. There's no way around it.
It is. And I think the best place to start at this point is saying you've already faced X7 at this point. You're going up against another one of our two perceived strongest teams in this region. And you have to really ask what approach you're going for, what angle you're going for here as Singularity, because you tried a couple of games with the Unorthodox, that didn't really land, but you're still trying to hope for that miracle upset. They looked a little better playing more standard junglers, going towards the Jin Zhao against Naruki, but even that didn't work at this point. Where are you putting your dice? Where are you putting your money on the table? Because there are a couple of different routes you can go towards. None of them are easy, but one of them maybe has a route of a miracle win.
And I have to think about how's the team holding on to, because losing so many games in a row on the NLC, it's got to be tough.
It has, because what comes hand in hand with playing this kind of unorthodox style, as we were kind of saying with Naruki in the game when they played against each other, actually Singularity and Naruki, is that when you're doing the unorthodox and you go out there and you get hammered, you feel that much worse because there's another kind of target to kind of say, oh my God, what was that draft? What the hell is this player doing? Why are they playing this? And again, you can kind of go back into the mentality and say, oh, maybe they had a read on the team. Maybe they thought this champion was stylistically good against this kind of team and their identity. But the question is, do they have enough of that? What is the mental state like at this point from Singularity? We heard from Naruki that they still believe they can win. They still believe they can pull it together. They believe that there's just a little bit of some things to clean up and then maybe they can get towards that. But Singularity, are they in the same spot, or actually are they finding it a little bit more difficult at this point?
It's going to be a tough one, obviously, but then the idea comes in. XL are feeling comfortable. They have everything they need. The only game they lost was versus X7, and even that game
was a great game.
Was such a good game. Eminence versus Timp was like the battle, like the Batman versus Superman, it was amazing. I love to see it. Like, do you bleed? So like, yeah, you bleed. It was amazing. So looking into this game, do you think there's a window where XL are going to play a little bit more easy because, oh, it's Singularity, we can rest a little bit. But then you have Turok. He's going to slap the players if they fail. You know that's going to happen. How do you feel?
I just feel like Turok is becoming like this kind of occult overlord of XL, and it's just like this figure in the background looming ever closer. Turok.
Have you heard about Turok?
Have you heard about our great savior? Okay, moving on from that because there's just a.
I need a robe on the back just saying Turok. I need that on my life.
There you go, merch idea. We can work on that. But I think XL for me, coming into this game, on my checklist of things I want to see from them is you got to put Singularity to the sword. You cannot give them a chance in this game. Make it look like another day at the office, because we believe you are this caliber of team that should be representing our team on the EU Masters stage. You are going to go to higher stages. You are going to go to that point if you continue playing like this. Don't give us any room for doubt.
I want to see spicy picks. It's on to the champion select, JDXL. They're going to remove Caitlyn instantly. They don't want that AD carry. I know on the next patch is going to be a little bit more spicy because I know Senna will steal a lot of the spotlight. We should talk about that.
We saw Singularity playing the Senna yesterday. Actually, no, yesterday, Monday. The last Div 1 day.
It's a trap, isn't it?
Time flows very strangely in this realm of the world.
In Berlin, yeah.
But, so we've got the Caitlyn gone. Seraphine's gone as well. That's been banned against Singularity a lot. Maybe that just helps them go towards more front-to-back kind of disengagey styles, play out the range advantage. The Thresh stops you from playing both the Jinx and the Aphelios to quite the same degree of safety. Or if you pick the Lulu, you can kind of answer that with something like a Nautilus as well. So it's just kind of cutting down some of the breadth of bot lane, hyper carry lanes that you can have with a degree of safety.
So a few AD carries are still up for the first rotation, and you don't have that Caitlyn versus Jinx, the one killing the card.
Well. So that's been very high priority. But then what we've seen with Diana for JDXL is that if you pick Diana into them, they play Gwen and they play the Vladimir, which you just can't gank as that champion. Instead, they've gone completely off script. They say, you want to play a Jinx into us, you're going to have to play against something that is so incredibly lane dominant that it has bullied out so many of our longer range AD carries. Varus locked in.
I don't know, like, Zamalek is that guy that plays lethal tempo. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. It's like, I'm going to play lethal tempo Varus. What can you do? What can you expect? Like, he's way too strong with that pick. Which means they can go for the Shin Zhao and probably with the Jinx for the bot lane if they want to face it off. But do you feel like the oh no. Oh no. Oh,
I love it. I love it.
What is happening? What is happening
with that? I see it. I see this pick. But the Shin Zhao's already locked in. But, Porp, a man of many unorthodox junglers. Yeah. And like I said, I've had the pleasure of casting him at the university, seeing him on the NLC team. It's like, it's a level to the point where you need to be so masterful at your not Masterful Yi at your champion, but Masterful at your champion, that you don't have that same degree of like flexibility in your champion pool all the time to really get into the mid game or late game where your champion pops off.
Okay, it's going to be the Jhin, so we have the utility AD carry, and exactly, like, they can find a way to go into the backline. You don't have the Thresh to support you. Probably get the Karma on the next one and get that stability on the bot lane. And it's going to be the Trundle, so this is a hard one to run away from.
Yeah, because Trundle is one of those picks, like, I know, you know, Trouble's continually mentioned Rumble, so have I on this broadcast. Rumble is one of those picks which breaks the meta. Trundle can be as well, because you pick up the Xin Zhao, you pick up a lot of the front-to-back team fighters, which the meta has gone towards, and you get Trundle ulted, and your tank just melts. You don't get to front 5v5 at that point. Trundle also beats Xin Zhao at the early levels. You have a level 2 Xin Zhao. Actually, level 2 Trundle can deal with that. It's one of the few champions in the game that can. So it removes potentially some of the early game plays which Singularity were looking towards. Actually, in their game yesterday, they looked to be more stable in their early game, at least in the rookie. Anyway, what will stabilize their mid game, though, is this champion which is continually removed, this Orianna right here, because Musa has been absurdly important to their team, especially on the champion like the Orianna.
And they need this Orianna. They need a team fight composition, because if you look into the other side, there's a lot of lockdown, there's a lot of CC. They can get access to that backline really fast. Jhin will be completely nullified if they don't get any sort of other threats, and I believe this should be useful.
Yeah, and I do like the Leona takeaway as well, because that's the prime lane pairing with the Jhin, because Jhin Leona, it's just like you lock someone down into the ult, it's not really aiming your shots at that point, it's just pointing at the point and click. With the ultimate there. I mean, you maybe can lock in something like the Karma. You were mentioning that earlier in terms of stabilizing laning phase. Jhin Karma is very obnoxious at the level 1. It allows you to push in, allows you to get priority. Maybe that opens up some answers to kind of unbalance rather the jungle matchup, which we said is kind of in favor in Trundle in the early levels.
And then we have a lot of movement speed to run away, or even engage if you need. So it's going to be the Gwen now bend away. If this was solo queue, probably you will see the Zerath with the Jhin, which is the sniper action. I don't want to see that because it's painful, by the way.
Yeah, Solar Flare tends to really knock his lights out a bit. Zerath not happy in that match.
No, I don't want to see him anymore. Please don't do that. It's going to be the surrender to the mid lane, so that control champion Victor is still available. Corki as well, as if they need. But Emenes, it's Emenes we're talking about.
I just want to see what he picks up, because he's played five champions in 5 games at this point.
Can we get 6?
We get them. How many other champions have we got to write in this book? Maybe
like another
Imaginize himself.
What do you fancy? Because when Trouble is on the desk, she gets a lot of predictions and they come true. I don't know why. How?
I mean, right now we've got 4 bans which are potentially towards solo lane at this point. I mean, for me, I'm always an Ahri player. I mean, if anyone's
gonna pick Ahri.
Ahri, okay, it does actually exist.
I'm so disappointed.
It's a champion which exists, but it's not. Okay, whatever. Memes aside, I would like to see something again with individual agency. Right? M&S has managed to find any champion to say, look, I'm just gonna run over the game with this. Doing it into quite a long range, quite a front-to-back composition. Actually, something like the Victor again is not awful here. You would have loved to have something like a Syndra, but you're kind of running out of options because of that many bans in terms of the meta champion pool. Unless you do want to go towards something like that Corki or the Victor once more.
They have to reveal who's going to be on the top and on the mid, but I believe they're buying some time for the mid lane as well. You need to pick that mid lane at last, so they have a little bit less time to work with that. It's going to be the Jace for the top lane, supposedly for the top lane. It's Emenes. Like, something can happen.
That's true. We rarely see Jace mid anymore. Doesn't mean it's completely off the table. And again, if there's anyone that's going to play M&S with his Champion Ocean, welcome to the Great Deeps here. He'd be the one to pick that up, of course. You have a lot of options here. It is going to be the Corki, so I believe, once again, that is a unique champion. I don't believe he's played the Corki.
Yeah, it is for him unique, but we've got a lot of Corkis on.
We have, so it's like, it's not exciting, but at least, we give him like a passing grade because at least it's keeping the record alive, and we like records because it's something that we can keep bringing up on graphics on our next week.
6 champions unique for him. That is amazing.
He's played more champions than there are games.
This is the Pacific Rim of the mid lane. And then you get the Ornn, obviously, for the team fight. You have the Orianna, you have the Braum. You have so many ways to clean the Jhin. But do you think they have enough physical damage on Singularity or even team fight capabilities?
So I mean, you look at this 5-man unit from Singularity and you're like, sweet, awesome, front to back, we can do that for days. But then you realize, like, hang on, the Trundle is going to mean our Ornn is really not going to be happy with that. You're also going to be largely losing in your 2v2 bot as well. Braum can get prior, but Varus is so obnoxious in that front. Jace, obviously a very strong individual top laner. I don't know if Singularity have got what it takes to stop JDXL before Jace Corki becomes online, and the Trundle adds into how easy it is for them to land that poke with the pillar and everything else.
There we go. This is the game we're going to look into. The champion select is already done. Obviously, I know they're waiting for us, but last remarks. What do you think is going to happen like in the beginning of the game?
Beginning of the game, it is very much on can you unsettle the Corki before he gets to 1-2 items. Because he has winning side lanes likely, not going to be easy, but you need to stop Amanez getting into this game. He's got an absolute shooting gallery to work with.
It's going to be a tough game for Singularity, but let's see if they can stick with it. JDXL versus Singularity. It's time to shine for one team. On the other team, they want to keep the records of the winning streak, but it's up for the casters. It's going to be Initialize and Dribbling.
Back again, and already we've got something we really need to touch on. Zamulek has got Varus again. That's a risk.
I remember there was a B-roll of Zamulek last week where he was literally in between 5 members
So
in the
nuts.
river. He killed all 5.
Yeah, it was brutal. This is the guy who is leading the KDA in the league right now, 13.0 KDA, even pulling off players like that, and I am excited to see that. Still, it's not the only thing we've seen going on. Like, this bot lane in general seems like it could be a bit exciting.
I think I love the bot lane. I think bot lane is going to be one of the main focuses here in the game because I love Braum into melee support.
Yes.
And they have chosen here to go with Leona and Varus. And now we know that Zamulek plays more on hit Varus than he has played Lethality. He hasn't played Lethality at all. That means he plays on a shorter range. That means that Jhin really likes to play with his 1, 2, 3, 4. Plus, you have a Braum.
Yeah.
Now, the problem here is he's not fast in proccing the concussive blows from Braum. He's not quick at proccing his passive because he's not an attack speed ADC. So I would love to see how that will work towards the bot side because Braum versus Leona, Braum good. Braum proccing passive with a Jhin, not that great.
Not that great. I mean, also, when you get to those team fights, there is a Trundle there who would love to steal some of those resists from the Ornn or from the Braum here as well.
You've got a Zinzao. You've got
fine.
Okay, so I'm going to echo what Namera said.
Yeah.
I love the front to back that Singularity has here. They've got 3 tanks that can sit in the front line. They've got Muta, who has done the most damage for his team. He's #1 in the leaderboard in
Massively
percentage
so,
damage for his team. So we can expect Muta to be the carry later on. And you also have a Jhin in your team that can create a lot of space. So I do love what they have. The damage numbers are lower, but you've got a bunch of frontline. Now, I like what JDXL here are doing because the second these 3 members are walking in, unless Muta walks in and catches Eminem in the middle. If Eminence goes, gets pinched here, it's over. But Eminence is gonna spot them.
He will do, and the question now is what happens, because that is an early knowledge of Swin.
Muta should spot that Eminence is not mid yet and where he's coming from.
It's going to be a 3v3.
They should know they've been spotted.
Here we go, and Paul's going to be left alone. He's going to have to back out. It's done. It's the invade's failed. Surely, do you take this fight? I mean, it's Braum level 1. It's so strong. They're stepping forward. They want this. Zamulek has been slowed. Here we go. Heel down. Flash forward from Paul. He gets the rev up, but now he needs to get out. The triple damage is so obscene.
The leash.
Kickers is going to be there. It's the leash. It's 2 dead, and it's a disaster for Singularity.
Ouch. Okay, you know how it all started. You know when Singularity should have backed out? The second Eminence steps out of that mid lane bush, they need to give up on that invade. Eminence spots them here, he lets them invade, but then he walks into mid lane. Muta should communicate that to his team because you can see an invade from that mid lane bush and to communicate to his team, you guys cannot do this. Yes, you have a Braum, but you also have a Jhin. And it's not the easiest proc on the passive, we mentioned that. Now, Leona level 1 is really strong. Varus level 1 is also pretty strong. And yes, you see the Braum is diving in, but who's gonna proc?
Inches.
Who's gonna proc that? Pop dives in, but that was beautiful from Zamulek to get away from it. Dan is gonna say, you know what, guys? Thank you so much for the leash. Thank you so much for the 2 kills. Try to invade me again if you can, because a 2-0 Trundle is going to be so dangerous to walk in.
Kickers just missed the flash. Oh, that's so sad. But that is going to... Actually, I believe that was the Hex flash, possibly.
What's Pop? Level 2 top lane.
Oh, he's going to be right up here, and Cries on this chase was looking to flex with it. He might now be in trouble. Audacious charge onto him. He's going to try and get out. That's a searing charge forward. He has no mana, and he'll shortly have no life.
Okay. Pop, that was very, very, very creative. He knew that he was screwed in his jungle and that he could potentially get invaded, but he went for the level 2 gank.
no.
Now, what they have not spotted is that there is a Trundle.
Just done. He's going to try and make as much out of this as he can, but it's just not going to happen. Tatui head back,
Oh,
and
that
there's
is
no one to
dangerous.
support it.
That is dangerous. There's a huge wave building up
can
in the
just
top
dive.
lane. Tatui just TP'd back into his tower. Huge wave building up. I'd love to see the Braum walk up, but it's not
Okay.
going to be the case. And Eminence is just going to TP back into his mid to catch a huge wave.
And I believe it was Eminence Soul who picked up that kill onto Porp as well. So that's the kill onto the Corki early. And I appreciate the attempted response there after the early aggressive play went a bit awry. You try again top. Dan, though, is
It
there
was
to
very
counter.
creative. It was a play out of Malrang's book as well. He does the same on the Xin Zhao too. He will just take one buff, he will get level 2, and then he will go straight into a gank. I think that was very clever to do because he did blow Crysis both flash and teleport. That means that it could be possible for a repeat gank. And as you can see though, Dan knows that he is playing towards the top side of the map. Now he's going to back and go towards his bot side, which is where he needs to clear and play around his bot lane. I think Pop is majorly behind. Look at the inventory on the side of Dan. He's got his Kindle gem. He also has his Sheen available. If you run into this Trundle, not only is he going to be extremely tanky, but he's going to hurt a lot as well.
And what's helping that inventory is the fact he's 2-0-1 sub 5 minutes. Like, this guy has had... granted, that first initial invade did not work, but the return, or the response top lane as well was really good stuff, and that is exactly what you want to see from this guy who has picked up the Trundle. He's made things happen, and honestly, it's put Singularity's early plans into a serious bind, because this Trundle is going to be a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah, I think at this point, it's pretty safe because you're like, okay, boys, we're scaling. We're not going to take any fights. We're not going to try to fight for any dragons yet. We need some items onto our carries. We need an item onto the Orianna and the Jhin at least for us to then go and try to fight over the dragons. You have 3, which means you get about 15 minutes to get to the state where you want to be to try and stop Soul from going towards the side of JDXL.
And we saw kind of how that ended up in the last game, right? You needed to fight, and you weren't there with Nariki, and they ended up in a difficult position, partly because of that. And this is another example that might end up in that exact scenario. We'll have to see whether Singularity can stabilize. They're down about 2,000 gold, or 1,500 gold at this point. And did you have something to add there?
Yeah,
Double?
Pop is trying to go for the repeat gank in the top lane, which I really like, because Kryze does not have a teleport, he does not have a flash. He's just waiting for Kryze to overextend. Right now, JDXL know that Pop is in their jungle because they've seen the Trundle on the bot side of the map. Pop here could change the tides around.
He's going to make it, he's going to try for it, he throws the wind, becomes lightning, and that was actually really clean. Nice job there, and Kryze picked that Jace, and he's died twice already, and that's a bright spark at least.
Can I whine a little bit? I'll whine after this.
Gonna try and get on this one.
Yeah, I just wish the kill had gone to Pop because he's the one falling behind, and the Ornn doesn't necessarily need the money that much, but because Pop has fallen behind, I would rather the kill went to him. Now, of course, that's nothing you can blame me for, but the flash has been popped.
Oh, that was a nice piercing arrow. Now Zki is left all alone, and M&S is here as well. He's on a very fetching Corki mount there, who's going to try and take him on. It's more like an attack dog at this point. He's just left out for the wolves, or at least small dogs, and yeah, goodbye, sweet prince.
There is a
I
dog
knew thee
there.
well.
Corki is on top of a corgi.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. See, it was all planned trouble.
This is so hard to watch, man. I think JDXL are just one step ahead, and even though that Zenith blade did not hit in my screen, it did generally. It definitely did hit Braum right there.
You can have that argument about hitboxes later.
Yeah. Again, he gets onto the Braum, and you can see how difficult it is for the Jhin to proc the passive to stun someone. So the second Leona plays against the Braum and the passive is really easily procced, then you get to return a bunch of this damage. That's not the case again with the Jhin. So even though it does work against the Jace poke, it does work against the Varus poke, it does work against the Corki poke, you just don't proc it quick enough to make that bot lane work for the side of Singularity, and that is yet another lane that's fallen behind.
So we missed an attempted top lane dive.
That might be 3.
Yepe is now 0-3. That is not what you want to see as a Singularity fan coming back to life.
Okay. I need to wrap my head around positivity. What That's what my play-by-play asks. What can Singularity do at this point?
I think they would like to have someone come and defend Porp here, who's being bullied as well. Yep, he's respawned, and maybe that's something. Surely not. I think you need to back away, mate. Dan's on the killing spree. Here comes Muta, though, and maybe they can punish the overstay. They're going to take the red buff, and that
Thanks for the leash. Thanks for the leash, says Muta right there. Dan did not have the smite, of course, because he used it on Paul.
Okay. Big brain moment. Orianna has Clockwork Wind-Up. That means she can abuse the on-hit damage from the red buff as a top lane gank is happening, and that's the ultimate down. Missing that Volcanic Rupture, though, means I think Tatui just has to get out of there.
Yeah.
Back to the Orianna red buff. She's
This
got Wind-Up. This is the
not
turnaround.
Initialized. This is not TFT. This is not TFT. Let's see how many MNS can dodge. 1, 2.
4 hits, but flashes anyway, and that's not bad as far as what you're going to take away from that. You do get the flash of M&S. You can potentially come back and punish that later.
Cries on the flank right there, and you see Dan getting towards the top side of the map. They could potentially build up a second wave right here and try to dive Tatui, but at this point, do you want to pay any attention to the top side of the map? No, you do not. And yes, I'm gonna go back to Muta because he is usually the top damage, not usually, always the top damage dealer for the side of Singularity. But the problem right here is you've got a burst mage, such as Orianna, who wants to build up the shockwave onto 2 or 3 people, relatively carries if you can.
Sure.
But M&S is really slippery because he's going to have packets in most of these important fights, and he's also going to have his W available. And then all you can hit is Cries, who's playing on the very far backline, poking. Maybe you could try to hit Zamulek. Other than that, your choice is Dan onto that Trundle and Kikis onto the Leona. So the only reason I'm worrying here is, again, I don't see continuity in the damage that Singularity are dishing out. Jhin is a relatively very slow ADC to put down the damage, and he's usually setting the scene for the damage dealers to dive in and do damage for him. And then Orianna is a pop mage. So he'll pop you with the shockwave. Yes, you can dish in some damage with QE, but that's all. On the other side, I see so much scaling.
I mean, at least you've got the Jinza who can be a ball delivery system. You've got someone to help you set up the stunts. It's not easy, but you know, you have got the Jhin, you've got the Ornn maybe combined.
You're really trying.
I am really trying.
Okay.
Like, look, there are ways to do it. It's just not easy. And like, I'm not gonna fault Singularity for being proactive, but I do want to give JDXL even more credit for having the response every time, as that's the package down as this Infernal Dragon has spawned. I wonder whether it was just timing out. And they were thinking about a dive there, but they decided against. They're going to move back towards this. Zamalek now has to flash away to get those chains of corruption down. Flash is not available on Porp, and that means he's not going to be able to chase Zamalek any further.
That is more than enough, I feel, for Singularity to back off. They don't have the level 6 on the Brom, which means they're not going to have that extra layer of CC, and Zamulek is still perfectly alive to chill about.
That's going to be a lot of damage, but it's turning back around. Kick is now pretty low. The heal, though, from Zamalek means it comes around and it's already all in pieces. Zamalek on the killing spree, 3 dead, and you asked them to back out. They wanted to fight for it. If the level 6 was on the Braum,
no,
maybe.
It's level 5 Braum. It's a Jhin with like less than 50% HP. Porp didn't have his flash available to reach the backline. You can't have Ornn there for an extra layer of CC.
It's too far.
It's just some unfortunate decisions that Singularity have been doing that put them further and further into the gold deficit they're in right now. 5,000 gold in the lead for the set of JDXL, 11 only minutes into the game with 2 dragons under the name. This is going to be a little bit difficult for Singularity to turn it around. The only member that has received a lot of violence from the set of JDXL has been Cries.
And the thing is, he knows this is happening, and this is what I'm appreciating.
He wants it.
He takes 8.
He wants it, and they know he wants it.
He wants this one so bad. And that's the problem. That ward is there, and I feel that's almost encapsulating a lot of this game for me. There has been some proactivity from Singularity. They've been going for plays, but every time it feels like they've been spotted. From the level 1 plays to the top lane dives,
You're making
the responses
plays, but they also need to be calculated on the fact that there needs to be some vision on the map. I feel like so far Singularity have been making plays. They haven't had any vision. They know they've been behind from the get-go, and from there on out, they haven't stopped for a minute to say, okay, what does our composition do front to back? When do we thrive when we're a 5-man unit? And they've never been able to put this under control because Tatui has to stick topside the entire time.
And, you know, credit to JDXL for having the wards in the right places, but you're right, Singularity haven't been doing due diligence in working out what JDXL actually know. And that has caught them out. And yes, part of that is people like Yepe being behind and being dead quite a lot. I mean, you can't clear out the wards, but it's still become a problem, and you can see it just looking at your minimap. It is mostly blue at this point. It's looking like an Eiffel 95 song.
What?
Blue dabba dee dabba die.
Oh right.
Come
okay.
on.
Okay.
Thank
okay.
you.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm aware that's a bit of a 90s reference. I apologize.
Sorry, I'm too young. I don't
Apparently.
remember.
And
I don't
like,
remember the song. Sorry.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, like, it's an old and very cheesy
Sorry,
song.
I just turned like 19. You know,
Yeah, sorry about that. It's fair. Like, you didn't take that. It's probably not a song worth remembering.
Okay, try two. Go.
Let's go. Round 3. Fight. Zamalek doesn't have flash, does have ult, but it's a shutdown, and that is something. First feel-good moment in a number of minutes.
Not quite as mobile as the core key.
Nope.
And he didn't have his flash available. That was a really nice catch right there from Singularity. Pop gets to cash in on the gold as well. And they're also gonna get a beat down on that bot lane tower, which is very important. On the other hand, JDXL see that the majority of the Singularity members are the bot side of the map. But all in all, I don't think Singularity lose anything here unless they can capitalize on Muta.
Flash from Danny just starts. It's a club beat, that's what that is. You can feel that one from the other side of Berlin.
Bonk.
I need that sound effect. That's going straight on the stream. I tell you now.
Remember how I said this is very positive for the side of Singularity because they get to do a lot of damage on the bot side of the map, on the tower, but instead, because Muta dies, they lose mid lane tower, they capitalize on a kill, and then Cries gets to pop the top lane tower as well, because he knows that majority of Singularity members are bot side.
Oh boy. I think that might be another 2 dead. Tatui gets away, but that is a 5th death of the game. At least Porp gets Zamalek again. That is that's something, but for all that you're making some little advantages, it's always going to be a massive cost as Cries nearly deletes the Ornn. In fact, he just needs one more shock blast. Where is he going to go for it, surely?
I don't think he has mana for it.
No, he doesn't. You're right. He's going to go to the hammer form and go for the Krugs instead.
I mean, he took the flash, he took the ultimate from the side of Tatui. He's done his job, right? And Eminence is now trying to 1v2.
No, that's so much damage. Zipicky could try and get something here, waiting for those shots as my voice goes about 3 octaves high as Eminence gets that one. 3,
okay, Kiki's don't
0,
touch it.
2. Don't you dare touch it. A double kill in the 1v2.
Yeah, I just wanted to see the 1v2, you know? I'm like, Kiki's back off, mate.
Yeah.
Back off. Just let Eminence do his stuff. And Eminence, again, he's doing his stuff. The 1v2 down the bot, and I think Singularity are desperate at this point. They're almost 10,000 gold behind, 15 minutes into the game. What can you do to bounce back? In all honesty, just because of how much damage Singularity is lacking at this point, I don't think there's much you can do, because if you look on the side, of JDXL, Jace is gonna scale a lot.
He is.
Core, he scales so freaking much. And you also have on-hit Varus. It's not lethality Varus that falls off towards the later stages of the game. So, and you also have 2 walls in front of you, which are a Leona and a Trundle that cannot necessarily die too easily. So you're asking me for a Shining Light, 16 minutes into the game, with a 10 gold lead.
Trouble, I'm going to ask you to hold for a moment while I take a massive inhale of copium.
Okay. Oh, no, don't.
Okay,
no,
okay,
take Nightmare out of you.
Okay, look.
Nightmare, get out.
Never mind, we've got to talk about a fight. I can do this later as Yepe has to get away. That's Porp going in, gets onto Zamalek, who's pretty low, but now the curtains are called. Stun onto the Leona, who's going to have to try and get away. 4th bullet. Hits, but not enough damage. And actually, somehow, nobody is dead as yet.
Okay, but what does that give us, right? 2 members of Singularity have to back off. Really nice interrupt on Porp right there.
Oh no. Okay, Zamalek had to burn flash, and he just gets to walk up and get a kill just afterwards.
So, one tragedy after another. I know Singularity finds an opening right there, but it ends up being them at a disadvantage. Now, Cries is going to be the recipient of a lot of violence up top lane.
Yep. That's the shockwave. Command protect comes forward, but no! No one else where Eminence is getting kills on a dummy on the side of the map! JDXL just get 18 kills in 17 minutes. What on earth just happened in mid lane on top of it all?
Dragon, kills, all over the map. I think it's JDXL asserting the dominance, not even 20 minutes into the game. I think this is sort of an outclassing. Yeah, I think we can't name it any other way.
It really is.
This is the players outclassing the lanes one by one. And unfortunately, the only one that's holding their own is Tatui. But unfortunately, this time, he's not on a Wukong. He's not on an aggressive pick. He's not on a Camille. He is on the Ornn. Eminence is casually diving tier 2 mid lane.
there was a reason we asked him to take a
On
bow.
his sixth unique champion of the split.
He just woke up today
Are
and
you gonna
chose
take a bow?
violence. Yeah, I mean, you just take a few, I think, at this point. It feels like 6 of them every bloody game. This guy is absolutely smurfing it. And I was going to make a joke about, look, there's no silver lining, there's a golden lightning. Look, the objective bounties are up, you know, go along that. But even with some of those available, I just don't see it. I think this game is bluntly pretty done. At this point, I need to see mistake on mistake on mistake from JDXL, and I think it's just another pick. There is nowhere safe for you on this map.
Yeah, and look at the board side of the map. Jeppe is sort of shadowing Muta. Muta has both of his summoners, but you know what? He's missing a teleport. He's gone for double mobility summoners, which I understand, but no teleport means it's gonna take you a bunch of time to get back, and even though the curtain will be called in a little bit to try and defend the base, I don't think there is much you can do. There is a great Rift Herald hold from JDXL right there. They'll take mid lane tier 2. They'll take the Ornn with them. I think they'll take the entire game right here and right now.
I think this might be a last gasp from Singularity as JDXL claim 2 inhibitors. Kryze gets Tatui as well. And they're not going to quite go on to finish inhibitor tower. Oh, sorry, Nexus towers, I apologize. One is down to about 10% HP as M&S is already at a point of critical mass. Those are nuclear warheads he is leveraging right now.
He's 5 levels on top of that
Oh,
that
no.
he just sorted out towards. So M&S is a beast right now, highest level on the Rift together with Kryze, who's been left alone in his own devices on the top side of the map. Again, we might sound a little bit repetitive here, but the game was over level 1.
It is 20 kills in sub 20 minutes. It is 12,000 gold in sub 20 minutes. They are at Soul Point JDXL. You were asked to put on a clinic to prove why you are expected to be in the top 2, to be challenging against X7. This is it. This is what you do against a team that is a development roster, that is there's a Uniyop roster. And there's a Baron start now as well.
Yeah, this is the last breath for Singularity, right? Can Pop move in? Can he steal the Baron? And even if he does, can you get anything from it?
Oh, God.
Is Pop gonna even be alive?
Oh, that's so nasty. He's just going to be taken out. M&S is waiting in the bush, and normally it's junglers that like to jump on AD carries like that. M&S is saying, I'm just going to look for the straight Penta here. He's got 2 already. The Baron's gone down to Dan, who I think soloed that alongside Zamalek. So apologies, it's a 2-man. Shockwave only hits minions. And I think it might be a sad farewell to Singularity in this game. They're waiting for a wave, and I think this is it, trouble.
I'm trying, man. I'm
There's
trying,
nothing.
but this is just too clean from JDXL. They've done everything in their power to make sure that every single lane outclasses their opponents. Dan with a little bit of a flashy flash right there, last minute.
And this is it. JDXL from minute 1 from the red buff invade have not taken their foot off the gas. It has been domination as M&S continues to absolutely eviscerate Singularity in this game. 21 minutes, 30 seconds on the clock.
CLEAN for JDXL. Clean, start to finish. The second that double kill went on to Dan, the game was over. Every single lane knew exactly what to do. I think Dan played this to perfection as well. And I'm just, as someone who has followed Dan back when he was in NLC with Fnatic Rising, and then he went to the LEC and then back into the NLC, I think that this guy is on fire. This guy really, really wants it, and his performance so far have been showing that much.
He really, really has. Just look at those early jungle pass. Gets the red buff invade, counters the gank top. Beautiful stuff, even on the trundle. But we are going to cut it here. Don't go anywhere, because clearly there's a lot more to go. Stick around. The analyst desk will be back after this.